I don't know why I just said that. Hello, people of the world of online video watching. Welcome to this. A fun-filled video full of stripping the paint off my 74 Toyota Celica. If you missed out in the last video where I uncovered some damages under the original paint, up above my head is not a link to the last video where I worked on it, rather than a car. Literally. Let's get to work. Oh geez, I almost fell. Oh, this thing doesn't roll very good. Alright, first things first. Get this area prepped up. I'm taping up the side windows and the door glass of this car since all the weather stripping and molding has been removed. One of my personal biggest pet peeves with painting a vehicle is letting your interior get roached with bodyworking dust because of carelessness. I'm not gonna let that happen to this car. Also, can't forget about the cowl area just because that's a source of draft. Oh yeah, open the garage door. That was all. Yeah. We got automatic brakes. It'll go pigeon-toed and stop it. The last video where I stripped the front fenders and the trunk lid, that just for the two front fenders was about 4 hours worth of labor. The trunk lid was about an hour or so. I also considered using paint stripper like I did on the Beetle, but honestly, it's the same amount of time to use that as it is the method I'm doing right now. All right, time to go keep some bees. Stripping the paint off this door with a whistle biscuit is kind of like mowing grass in the way that you can do various different patterns around the door, but I'm choosing to knock it out in little section at a time and breaking it up into 2 stages. I'm taking off the top layer of paint and then going back over it again after I go to the next area. That way I don't get the panel too hot and cause it to warp. Meanwhile, Angel is going over the car with a cutoff wheel and various little abrasive discs to knock down the weld spots for where we had to fill up all the holes from the trim strip that was riveted down both sides of the car. Back over in Stripperville, I'm now taking care of the driver's side door with the same whistle biscuit I started the passenger side with. I was kind of surprised this thing actually held up and lasted after 40 minutes of continuous use on the other side of the car. And just FYI, they're actually called bristle discs. Don't Google whistle biscuit. It won't end well. Well, it took me about 30 minutes or so to do that door down to bare metal. I gotta do the edges, but that's not that bad. I burped in this thing also, and I'm not going to tell you the rest of that story. This whole area is all body filler, so let's see what the mess is underneath. The peach colored stuff you see underneath the brown, that is the filler, and I just took off the top layer of paint so you can see just how thick this is. So I'm gonna start eating away at it now. I don't even see why they have filler. There's like hardly even a dent here. Those look like body working dings though, more than an accident ding. It's pretty thick. It's maybe 2 or 3 mils right there. It never really got any deeper either the further I uncovered on the side of the car. It was just a bunch of filler for really no reason other than maybe they wanted to match the driver's side. Which is where things started to get worse. The body filler just got deeper and deeper and thicker and thicker the further along I went. In some of the areas where I started uncovering real damage that had been previously worked, there was almost an inch thick of body filler, and it took the big muffin drum to completely remove it all. Meanwhile, Angel continued to strip the areas that I couldn't get with the larger drum sander or the whistle biscuit, and also started to prepare the surfaces with the DA in an 80 grit, which is what will be required when I start laying down the epoxy coat, so that way it has some kind of a tooth in the sheet metal for it to bond to chemically and mechanically. Yesterday I gave the ants some chicken. Apparently ants don't like the chicken skin though. It's the following day. That was a lot of work yesterday, and this is the nightmare. I thought the other side of the car had a lot of filler. This side, in some areas, it was literally like 1.5 inches thick. The entire thing from wheel well up to the top, all the way down here, was just all filler because it got smacked right here in the corner. You can tell it wasn't the most skilled body shop in the world that did the work on this though. It's full of 36 grit scratches underneath the paint. Also, where the little gasket is for this rear light, it had some dirt and debris in here and you can see it corroded a bit. Judging by the looks of it, it's like one of those kind of accidents that when he was probably backing out of a parking spot got smacked or backed into something, because it's just localized to this little area. And on the back side of it, you don't really see any other damage. Nothing looks structurally screwed up back here. It's just a really crappy area to get a dent. Just be glad it's us suffering on this video and not you, because no one would enjoy having to do what we're doing right now. This is gonna be a challenge because there's so much adhesive stuck on here still. The brown stuff you see is adhesive, not rust. And I think it's gonna eat up the pads. So... Charlie just arrived with the oil pan version 2.0 finished.
I had my friend Kyle weld it. He's an instructor at a local welding school, so he did a pretty good job. Way better than I could have done.
Yeah, that turned out fire. That looks so good. I guess it took him about 2.5 hours. That's fast, but it is so nice. The hood, the panel I was procrastinating on the most because of the sheer size of it, and also it is the most susceptible to warpage because of the span of the sheet metal and the fact that there is minimal structure underneath it. I found the best strategy to cope with this issue is to attack it in multiple layers as to avoid inducting too much heat into the panel, which will cause the warpage. Also, this is taking a toll on my whistle biscuit. This is now $170 worth of whistle biscuits I've used. Dusty. Got a good solid 6 hours worth of stripping. On a less positive note, these cameras that I film these videos on, between the lens and the body, is close to $5,000 each camera. I have 2 of them. They are just covered in body working dust right now. It's pretty depressing actually. As the Pareto principle states, because we did 80% of the work that took 20% of the time, the remaining 20% of the work will take 80% of our time, 60% of the time, every time. Sex Panther. Anyway, just finishing up the last of the trim around the car and also tackling the rest of the hood. I had to break the hood up into little 6x6 inch square areas and keep it from tin canning. 2 key indicators you can rely on if you're getting the panel too hot is the tin canning sound, or also putting your bare hand on it. If it burns the shit out of you, you're getting it too hot. Barely gonna clear the screen. It is now the 3rd day in this video and the final strip day. It's the final strip day. Do-do-do-do. I know these spots right here are probably bothering the hell out of somebody. So, oh, this tape's pretty strong. It did its job. Kept the dust out. I was able to find a brand new set of new old stock Dragon logos for the side of the car. I have them in a box over there. They just pop from the back side. Pop, lock, and drop it. Ta-da! Got that part of it. Aha! I don't know how anybody actually thinks this is a swan. That is clearly a dragon. Got it. There's a little snapperdoodle, holds it in place. There's also a plastic clip if I want to take it off the other way, but I don't want to risk breaking that. I was debating whether or not I should take off the license plate frame here because it's riveted to the chassis. And yes, I absolutely should, because I'd be lazy not to do that. Aquaboggin, Route 1, Saco, Maine. I don't know why I just said that. Yeah, if you look at this thing, it was definitely painted black before. You can see down there too. This needs to be black. I kind of want to powder coat this. If this was powder coated black, constantly taping and untaping this door. Round 2 on the tape job is not going as planned. It's the thought that counts. I mean, I did my best effort at ensuring dust doesn't get in there. This should hopefully go pretty quick since it's a small area. I'm just using the rest of this whistle biscuit up because these things are not cheap. Also, it spins this way, so I'm gonna make the shit go away from the car. The baby whistle biscuit did a pretty good job at cleaning out the hamburger meat that is this rear quarter panel. I don't really know how much of this metal back here is going to be stretched, so it should be interesting to see what a hammer and dolly can actually do to try to save this spot back here. Doing the 80 grit on the bare steel chews through pads super quick. These aren't the ceramic ones, those ones last a little bit longer, but I was able to at least make a dent in this. Get it? A dent. What's really good about doing it too is now I'm really starting to see where the low spots are from this terrible bodyworking job. There's so many deep sand scratches in here too. This is gonna be tough. Passing the torch off to Angel because my hands are vibrating like crazy right now. This is a third full day of paint stripping and it's already after 5 o'clock. Did you just almost take your hands off?
I accidentally sanded my hand.
I have sand in my pants in Spanish.
I have sand in my pants in Spanish.
Well, completely stripped. Other than doing the jams, this was the MVP of the day. The BB whistle biscuit on an air tool. Absolute champ for getting these really pain in the ass places. When I took that plate bracket off, I came across this interesting little gem. There's a bolt that goes to, I'm not really sure what yet. I will take it out when I finish stripping the bottom. I ran out of baby whistle biscuit though. That one's almost worn down. I was debating about this, but I think I'm gonna strip the jams to the bare metal too. Now that this thing is inside, you can really get a good look at the damage. This is not gonna be easy. It really isn't. And they don't make new panels for these cars anymore. Not that I would want to put a junk aftermarket panel on here. So this front area you can see right here is supposed to be black because you can see it around the headlights and stuff when everything is attached to the car. So I think it would look better if this whole thing was just uniformly nice and black instead of just patchy spray areas. And I was debating about doing it with that POR 15 stuff because it's super durable and chip resistant. So I don't know, let me know in the comment section your thoughts below. The roof still has these tiny little rivet holes that I need to weld closed. There's 4 of them that go across the entire roof. Those should be pretty easy though because they're tiny. I know some of you are wondering about the glass on this car, whether or not I'm going to remove it and replace the weather stripping and then strip down inside here when I go to paint it. And I'm going to, but the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna wait until this thing is all bodyworked in epoxy and in the polyester coat. And then once it's done, before I do the final prime and paint, I'll pull the glass, just scuff underneath the very edge where I can't really get to, paint the car and then put the new seal back in there with the glass. That way there's less risk of the glass getting damaged for whatever reason, because I don't want to lose the original glass on this car. We also stripped front and rear tow hooks because I want to get these powder coated black. But yeah, it's done in pretty much one video, which was really hard to film this, and I did my best at making this interesting. I know it was a lot of time lapse, but it was just an immense amount of work. So thank you guys for watching. In the next video, I don't know what's next. We'll have to see. Bye.
Mi piña huele medio rara.